Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to topic 2. I hope you guys have used topic 1 well and learned how to move around in SketchUp. In this topic, we'll be seeing what the basic tool set are, what are the different types of tools, what are the different categories, how do you use it to create drawings. So let's get straight to it. Now on top over here, we have a tool set, which is a very basic tool set, but we will be using a larger tool set and we can easily switch that tool set on by clicking on View, Toolbars and going to the large tool set over here. Now before we get into the drawing portion of this tools, or even before we start explaining to you what the tool sets are, a lot of y'all might have a specific format to work in. So whether y'all want to work in feet and inches, meters, centimeters, millimeters, you should be able to do that in SketchUp very easily. Now for doing that, what we can do is we can just click on Windows, we can go to Model Info, and over here you'll notice that we have the format, which is decimal, and we have the meters over here. I can easily change this to whatever units I want and I can close this once I'm selected. So we're going to be selecting the meters and we're going to be pressing the close button over here. So now we'll be working in meters throughout SketchUp. Now once we have opened up the large tool set, you'll notice that there are these lines which are basically dividing this tool set into various different categories. The first category over here is basically our selection category. The second category is the draw category. Third is the modify category. Fourth is the annotation category. Fifth is the movement category. And sixth is your look around and section category. So let's talk about what each category has to offer. So the first category over here will have the selection tool, paint bucket tool, eraser tool and make component tool. Now the first one over here, which is the selection tool, is the cursor for SketchUp. So we can use this to do a single click to select an object, right click to get into the properties of the object, do a right to left selection, which is the dotted line selection, and a left to right selection, which is a straight line selection. I want you to remember this because once we start drawing, you'll get a better understanding of what the dotted line does and what the straight line does. The next over here is the paint bucket category. Paint bucket will basically let you select different textures and different materials to use in your model. We'll be getting into these also once we actually go ahead and create a model. And if all of you are thinking whether we can import in different textures, we can do that as well. The next one over here is the erase tool, which we can easily use to erase off various objects like this. The make component tool we will come to once we actually create a particular object. So I'll just go ahead and erase this person from here. Now over here you can see we have these 10 tools in our draw category. The first tool being the line tool. Now whenever we select any tool, we will be having to provide measurements for it. So where the measurements will be seen over here directly. We do not need to add it over here. We can add it directly from the keyboard and press enter. Then only the measurement will be inputted. We can also go and work around these axes over here. So I'll just go ahead to show you how we do that with our line tool. Now line tool is basically going to act by 2-point selection. The first point being the base point, the second point being the end point. So we'll have created a line. But if you want to work in a particular axis, what y'all are going to do is y'all are going to use the left arrow key for the green axis, right for the red, up for the blue, and you guys can see that how these axes are used. Now the minute I'm in the green axis, I can just input my dimension. So I'll just go ahead and press 5 enter. As you can see, I didn't have to go over here. All I did was click 5 enter from wherever my hand was in the screen. Now the minute I'm done with the 5 enter, I can now go along the red axis with the right arrow key and again press 5 enter. Again I can press the left arrow key to go on the green axis, 5 enter. Again in the right arrow key to go on the red axis, 5 enter. And you guys can see how this particular shape has been created. Now you guys will notice that a lot of black edges are here, which is basically the 4 black edges. These are basically called your edges in SketchUp. It's not called a line, it's called an edge. This is basically called a surface. And you can notice that if we hover on top of each of these as well, right, they will basically, if we hover and click, they will basically select these particular edges and this surface. So this is how we will be working in SketchUp. It is always better to use the axis keys to actually have particular axis tools It is always better to use the axis key to work around in SketchUp and to work easier and efficiently through the axis. Now I told you about the left to right selection and the right to left selection, so let's have a look at what that's about. The right to left selection is a dotted line selection. Basically, a dotted line selection means even if I touch this particular edge as well as this surface, it will automatically get selected. But when I do a right to left selection, even if I try to touch it, nothing will get selected. Or the only time it will get selected is when I complete a particular edge or a particular surface. As you can see, right now this edge was completed, that's why it's got selected. The minute I go more than that, let's say like this, you can see these two edges were selected because I left out that particular portion on the left. You can notice how this is left out over here. Also, we can do a single click to select the surface and a double click to select the entire surface along with the edges. So just to revise this much portion, right to left selection, even if we just touch, it will get selected. Left to right will only get selected on whatever we complete. At the moment, I'm only going to complete this edge and this edge. So you can see that only these two edges are selected. So this allows us to basically select the particular thing that we want and not everything altogether. We can use the erase tool. Now remember, erase tool will not work with a direct click on the surface. We have to erase off the edges if we want to erase off the surface itself. The next over here is your line, freehand, rectangle, rotated rectangle, circle, polygon, 1-point arc, 2-point arc, 3-point arc and pie. So let's get into it and see what these include. So the freehand tool over here is basically a regular scribble tool. As you can see, there is no measurement also for this. It is just a basic scribble tool. We can use Ctrl Z to undo and Ctrl Y to redo in SketchUp. The next one over here is the rectangle tool. The rectangle tool is basically a 2-point selection. So that will be the first base point and the second will be the end point. After giving its first base point, we can actually select which face you want to make it in. You can also use the arrow keys to set the axis. So as you can see, the blue axis is going to be perpendicular to the blue edge. The left axis is going to be perpendicular to the left edge and the right axis is going to be perpendicular to the green edge. And we can use these to actually build different types of surfaces in the way we want them. So I'll just go ahead and select the blue edge over here. And you can see it below the dimensions. Now both the dimensions are segregated by a comma and that's how V2 will work. So if I go ahead and press 10, 6, that's 10 meters, 6 meters. So you'll see how I get a 10 by 6 box over here. So 10 by 6 box over here. So that's basically how the rectangle tool works along with the dimensions. It's very easy to know that you just need to select a particular tool and then enter the dimension or enter the particular measurement to get the particular shape in that way. So I'll just go ahead again and select this portion off and delete it so we can get into the next tool. The next tool over here is the rotated rectangle tool. Now, as the name suggests, it's going to be a rotated rectangle. Basically, it's going to be a sloping rectangle. So it's exactly same like a rectangle except it will have an angle along with it. Now the first thing over here is going to be I give my first click and I can go along any of these directions. And you can see below it's asking me for the length. So let's enter the length. So let's enter 10, enter. Now once I've entered the length, you'll notice that automatically I'm able to get a slope like this. And why am I able to slope? Because we have a particular angle and a particular width over here. Again, it is segregated by commas. So if there are two different options for us to enter, they will always be segregated by commas. So first angle over here, we can enter 60 degrees and we can put in the width as 5. So 60, 5. After that, I will go ahead and press the enter button. And you'll notice how this 10 by 5 rectangle has been created with a 60-degree slope over here. So that's very easy for us to actually go ahead and create rotated rectangles or sloping rectangles with this command. So I'll just go ahead, select this and delete this off. Now let's get into what a circle offers. So the circle command over here is basically again going to work with a 2-point click. The first point being the center of the circle and the second point being the radius of the circle. Now the minute I select the circle and I give a first point, I can easily give my radius. Let's say I provide the radius as 5, enter. So you'll notice that we have created a 5-meter radius circle. But I'm sure all of y'all will be wondering, why is this circle so rigid? As I told you, everything is created out of edges in SketchUp. Now, to create a particular circle, a minimum requirement of the edges would be 24 in number. So 24 lines are required to create this circle. As you can see, if I press escape and I go back into my circle, initially, before I even give its single click, it asks me for the number of sides over here. At the moment, you will notice that the sides are 24, which is why we had a rigid circle. I can easily go ahead and press 99, enter, and this is before I select my center of the circle. So remember that before you select the center of the circle, the minute you select the circle command, you will enter the 99, enter when you see the sides in the measurement area. After this, I will click in the center, and just like normal, I will put in 5, enter, and you'll notice now the difference between both these circles, the rigid 24-sided circle and the smooth 99-sided circle. This is how you'll easily create a smooth circle and a rigid circle depending on what you want to use. The next one over here is your polygon tool. Now the polygon tool is very similar to your circle tool, except it shows you the surface over here, it shows you the edge over here. So does the circle, but because we have been provided with the polygon tool, it is much easier for us to just use the polygon tool to provide the number of sides. As you can see over here, right now it's a 6-sided polygon. I can press and click the center, and I'll just have to add a radius over here. Let's say 5, enter, and you can see how I've created this polygon. I can press escape and go back to the number of sides. I can change it to 3, enter, to create a triangle. I can press 10, enter, to create a decagon. I can even go ahead and press 99, enter, to create a smooth circle. So the polygon will even let us create a circle, and so will the circle let us create this, since we can adjust the number of sides. But because we have given both the tools by SketchUp, it's better to understand them and what they do. Alright guys, let's get into the next couple of tools, which is basically our arcs. So we have 3 different arcs over here: 1-point arc, 2-point arc, and 3-point arc. And let's see what these do. The first is the 1-point arc. The 1-point arc, as you can see, lets us give a center point. After that, we have to provide a length. This length is going to be acting like the radius of this particular arc. So let's say I give 10, enter. From here, I can easily go ahead and create this arc. I can go ahead and now you can see I can put in the angle, let's say 180. So I'll get a 180 arc. Again, you notice that this arc is rigid. So what we can do is we can apply sides to even smoothen this arc. And how do we do that? What we're going to do is we're going to change the command to polygon or to any other command, and then I'll come back to the arc. The minute I select the arc for the first time, you'll see that we have number of sides, which is 12 over here. I can easily change these number of sides to 50, enter, and I can again go ahead and create a same arc with the 10-meter length. And you'll notice how both of these are now different in the smoothness. So this is how you'll easily use 1-point arc to create a smooth arc. Second one is 2-point arc. Now the minute again I select 2-point arc, you'll notice number of sides is 12 over here. I can easily go ahead and press 50, enter, to get a smooth arc. And now this will work with 2 points and a bulge. As the name suggests, 1 point as well as the second point and then a bulge, which will basically create a 2-point arc. The third one over here is the 3-point arc. Again, you can see number of sides. I'll let it be at a 12 only so you guys can see the rigid side. Over here, the 3-point arc is more like a combination of the 1 point as well as the 2-point arc. So you guys will notice that if I do a single click, then I select the first length. So let's say 10, enter. And I do it and I select the first point, 10, enter. Over here, automatically I'll be having a bulge as well, which will basically be converting into an angle. So I can go ahead and put in 280 the angle, and I will have a 280-degree angle, which will create a 3-point arc over here. And you can see how this arc is rigid because of the 12-sided face. So we can always adjust the sides, but we always have to do it before we create the arc. Once the arc is created, we will not be able to change the sides whatsoever. The next tool over here is the pie. The pie is exactly like the 1-point arc. So you select, you go ahead and you give a radius and you start to create the arc size. So I'll put in 180, enter again. The only difference with this pie is, as you must have noticed, that it creates a surface as well. So we have basically a surface with the edges created for the pie. So these are all the basic commands which we will be using for creating various drawings. So the line tool, freehand tool, rectangle, rotated rectangle, circle, polygon, 1-point arc, 2-point arc, 3-point arc, and pie. I want you guys to now cover all of these basic tools, rewind, view it again, and keep using it until you guys completely understand. Don't forget how to put in measurements, that you have to use sides for curves, and using the axis keys to work in particular directions. Okay guys, so please go ahead and use all these basic tools. We'll be getting into the next topic where we'll be seeing the more categories which come in the front, from the editing as well as the annotation categories. We will be getting into that in the next topic. Guys, take care. I'll see you in the next topic. All the best.